things off now. It's great. So yes, Penny, you're a reflective practitioner with this huge and focus and specialism and interest in mentoring and supervision, especially peer supervision. It sounds very exciting. And a whole host of people here today to listen to you talk about that, bring kind of masters in supervision and your experience to help them with their CPD. So I'm going to switch off now and hand over to Penny. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me on a wet Tuesday. My name's Penny McCartney, and I'm going to be running through some thoughts around peer supervision, something you might be aware about, and mentoring. So now it didn't work earlier, so I'm hoping that my presentation is going to work. So let me just share my screen with you and go and start the slideshow. Okay, so from beginning. Okay, can I ask that you can all see that? Can I just, if you want to unmute or anything, just put something in the chat. Can you all see that?
Yes.
Yes,
yes.
brilliant. Thank you. So I currently work for Education Skills, and I am a level 6 trainer. So I train on the level 6 as well as doing advice and guidance careers within school settings. So if I just move on to the next slide. Okay, can everyone see that? The webinar aims?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, so it's working. So I'm really pleased. Thank you very much. Okay, so I really want to get engaged and hear your opinions. So there's going to be a couple of little breakout rooms for you to talk around supervision.
Penny, I'm just going to hello, sorry, Penny, I'm just going to interrupt you. I don't know if you know, but the view that I can see is actually the presenter view rather than the view that you want to present to us. So what I can see is all of your notes as well as the
so I don't stop sharing.
Share with us, so I just wanted to make you aware of it. That was all.
Okay, thank you for letting me know, because I had no idea.
That's okay.
So so I wonder why it's going as presenter mode. Okay, what can you see now? Can you see all of my presentation, Melinda? Can you see all of it?
Yeah.
Penny, if you click at the slideshow from on the far left.
Yeah.
And if you click from the beginning.
Okay.
And then click resume slideshow.
Yeah. So, technology. So it's not doing anything now. Okay, let's go home. Let's click on slideshow from the beginning. Okay, resume slideshow. Okay. I'll stop sharing again and see what happens. Do it one more time. Okay. So let me just try again. Okay. Right, it was done twice. I could see. So let's try one more time. Sorry about this, guys. I am so not used to Zoom. Okay, from beginning. From screen sharing. Right, can you see that? Okay, or are you still seeing all my notes?
Still showing all of your notes.
If you go to display settings, is there they see the sorry,
on PowerPoint? Yeah.
Yes. So on display settings, if you click the kind of little presenter model, I don't know why it says present in Teams actually on the PowerPoint, but
it's because I don't know. This is what it's just. Okay.
I would click the present in Teams button then, and it will.
I can help if you need help. Sorry. Have you got two screens?
I'm currently Stephanie, I'm just looking at you, and then
Yeah.
I am looking at my PowerPoint now. I've just unclicked use presenter view. Should I click it? Monitor automatic.
Yeah, that's
presenter
it.
view.
You might just be getting confused by your screens. That's usually
Okay,
it.
right. Let me just try again. Sorry about this, guys. This is right. Share. Can you see that okay?
Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect. Yay. Right. Okay. Thank you very much. I should now know for the next time. Me and technology, it must be my age. Okay. Right. So let's move swiftly on because we've taken too much time. So webinar aims. So I really want to have a much more collaborative sort of get to know some of your ideas and feedback. Hopefully by doing this will enhance your own professional practice through shared learning. I don't know how many we've got, 23 people. So I think that alone proves that we're not alone doing our job role. And hopefully you'll feel a sense of being a part of a community. And peer supervision and mentoring can contribute to your career development and can be integrated into your workplace. Moving swiftly on. So what I hope you all get by the end of this session is have a definition between what peer supervision and mentoring is, basically the differences really. And we're going to look at the benefits of supervision and mentoring for career professionals. And I'll talk through a very practical model that comes through the CDI that I'm really keen on, and develop some practical ideas. So that when you come away from here, you may feel excited and think to yourself, actually, this is something that I can do in my own work setting. Okay, so, right, can we all see this? Can I ask if you, and hopefully I can share the results with you live. Well, I might have been able to, but I can't seem to at the moment. So, but if I ask if you could do this little quick poll, and then what I'll do is I will share the results maybe at the end. I can link up once I stop sharing my PowerPoint. Can you just let me know when you do it, or if you have any problems with it at all? Okay. I hope everyone's seen that. You've got the link or the QR code for Menti, and then I can get a rough idea how many of you have had supervision or peer mentoring before in the past. Okay, so this specific book is by Turner, Lucas and Whitaker. And they actually define supervision as a collaborative learning environment created by fellow professionals or a mentor. I always say to ourselves that we're all practitioners. So whether we're not, we may not be coaches per se, or we may not be mentors, but we're all practitioners working with clients. And their definition is that it's a mutual benefit to us, the practitioner, their clients, and the wider system. So hopefully, oh, something's just changed. Hopefully you'll all get that definition of what peer mentoring is. Something's happened to my screen. Oh, there we go. Right, okay, so introduction to peer supervision. So I don't know how many of you know what peer supervision is, but it's collaborative support. So it involves having us professionals supporting each other through a collaborative and reflective dialogue. It's based on mutual respect and equality rather than hierarchical relationships. So, for example, that would be a careers advisor with a careers advisor, somebody that's on equal basis. A peer supervision would not be with your manager per se. A supervisor, so if you were a supervisor, you would have that specific role and training to be a supervisor. But peer supervision is something that it's based around you and what you do and your role together. What it does do, it fosters a continuous learning, CPD, through shared experiences. So as you're discussing and exploring, you get a sense of shared understanding. And it's also very, very safe. So it's confidential between the two of you, or if you did what we call learning circles, it could be with a few of you. So it's safe, it's supportive, it fosters learning and professional development because you pick up CPD needs. It's based on mutual respect and equality, and it's us supporting each other, but in a more, probably in a much more formal way. Can I ask, I can only see my screen, I can't see you guys. So has anyone got any questions at this point and they'd like to ask me any questions? No, anyone got anything? I can't see the chat either. So, okay. Anyone got any questions? Okay. So, peer supervision, there's a real difference between supervision, peer supervision, and mentoring. But if I focus on peer supervision, mentoring is between a more experienced mentor and a less experienced mentee. So mentoring normally happens when somebody starts in a role or needs additional support. And it does have this hierarchical element to the role. A mentor leads and a mentee follows. It tends to be very much focused on skill building, knowledge transfer. The mentor can often influence some of the decisions and provides a bit more direction and steering. It's normally longer term, and sometimes the mentor can provide their own experience, their own guidance and networking. So whilst peer supervision is very different, it's between professionals of similar status. So like I said previously, it's like fellow careers advisors. It's really about mutual support, reflection, and professional development. So you'll be reflecting in practice, and it's a method of reflecting in practice, which we should all be doing. It's very collaborative. So you contribute equally. So it's not just one person talking all the time, it's the two of you sharing. You can use a reflective practice framework. So you might decide you want to use Gibbs or Sean or Kolb or whatever practice framework you want to use. You can use that as a way of guiding your conversation. There's no authority, it's shared responsibility. It can be ad hoc, whenever, ongoing. And the benefit is that it reduces isolation, promotes equality, and encourages your critical thinking. Now, the next one is a breakout room. So I'm going to stop sharing. For some unknown reason, I cannot see any of you, and I need to break you into breakout rooms. So for the breakout discussion, I'm going to ask you to get together, and can you just discuss for sort of 6 minutes your own experiences of whether you've had any mentoring, whether you've had peer supervision, and any benefits or concerns. If you could just jot them down and bring it back to the group, and if we can have a sort of a wider general discussion for a few more minutes. Is that okay for everyone? They're happy to do that? Right, so breakout rooms. Okay, so I don't know how many breakout rooms. Let's do 5 breakout rooms if there's 20 of you. Right, okay. Okay, so you should all be moving into your breakout rooms. And then I'm going to have the fun. Okay, here we go. So everybody should be returning back. Hello. Everyone should be coming back. Brilliant. I think we've got everyone. Okay, so if anyone, I'm more than happy for I know there's over 20 of you, but if there's anyone that anyone would like to talk, or if there's somebody who wants to speak for each group and just give me a few thoughts, or if you want to write something in the chat, I can access the chat now. I'm not showing my PowerPoint. Anyone like to talk?
I don't mind talking a little. I think.
Hi, Melinda. Nice to meet
Hello,
you.
and you. I think in our group, those of us that had experienced it, and I think we all had in some shape or form, whether it was careers related or not, had found value in it, which was great. But some of the people in the group who were, you know, self-employed, freelancers, that sort of thing, had found it a little bit more difficult to then access, you know, either peer supervision or any other type of feedback in that way. And you know, we kind of wondered whether the best practice or the community groups that the CDI has, if that is or should be their function to almost provide that platform for those of us that aren't in more structured environments to be able to access more of that mentoring and you know, development as such.
No, you make an excellent point. Yeah, I would agree with that, actually, that even though I worked for a company, I was still working in isolation in school because I was the only careers advisor. So getting access to supervision was very much collegial. You know, I'd have to speak to a colleague and we'd set our own informal networks up to support each other. If you were self-employed or a consultant and you're working in silo, then you don't have that access to other professionals. You may not speak to anyone throughout the whole school year, or, you know, whatever contract you're working on. So it is incredibly difficult. You raise a really good point. I don't know if I have the answer, but I have there are some informal networks out there. So if I go to the chat, does anyone else like Melinda want to speak? Anyone happy to talk? No. Okay. So Catherine mentioned it in our group. We talked about difficulties in working in silo, as many CDPs do. Yeah. Helen mentioned accessibility. Yep, definitely accessibility. Okay. So Valerie was agreeing with Melinda. Does anyone else like to add any sort of comments on and like to talk? Please, we're all CPD. We can all share our experiences.
I think somebody mentioned in our group concerns about confidentiality. So it is kind of not only the opportunity for support, but especially if you're going outside of your current workplace, it's that maybe not training, but support and ground rules to help you with how to manage confidentiality, how to have those discussions, but be confident you're not breaching any kind of issues or rules.
Again, valid point. You know, you have to trust in any supervision relationship. With, if you had a supervisor and you were doing it in an official supervision session, there'd have to be a contract. You'd have to have some sort of arrangement between yourself and the supervisor. And if you were doing peer supervision, I think you may have to, even if you don't want something formal, an informal contract or some sort of arrangement, because you're right, you know, you're trusting somebody with maybe private and personal information, but it's not counselling as such. It's around practice. And if you're worried or concerned that it's going to get outside of that safe boundary, then yeah, it's a very valid point. Right, okay, so I'm coming back to the dreaded PowerPoint and see if that works. Can you see that?
Not yet.
No, right, okay, so let me just... Oh, me and PowerPoints today have been really challenging. So basically, okay, so let's go back on Zoom. Let's go back on share. Go back here. Go back to share. So I'm just going to bring it back to this on current slide. Can we see that?
Yep.
Yep, brilliant. Okay, back to normal. So that's what we've just discussed. So thank you very much for doing that. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm hoping some of this might help with some of the questions that you had. So there are real benefits for peer supervision, even though there are some challenges. So it really is a great model for reflective practice, and it also should be, with confidentiality, a great safe space to discuss work stress and supporting emotional health. One of the key things working in silo is our own restorative, getting that restorative from our colleagues and from people around us, so we feel our own well-being is improved. And I think one of the biggest things is, just by meeting you guys today, it's making me feel like as if I'm not alone. I am in a community. We're all in this together in some way. It also helps with problem solving. So this is one of the models that I really like, that comes from the CDI, from Claire Johnson. Now, one of the functions of supervision comes from a guy called Proctor in 1987: restorative, formative, and normative. So if you were to have a meeting, you can structure this around this specific model if you want to. It's just your choice, so you can talk about compliance, so standards, ethics, caseload, KPIs. You can talk about CPD, and you can talk about the caring side of it. You're building your own personal resilience, self-care strategies, management. So this, you could frame your conversation into one. So you could just talk about compliance or caring, or you could just talk about CPD. You can pick a different one, or you can talk about all three. And having this all sorted before you start is probably a wise idea. If I go along to some different models, so you've got what they call the Turner Lucas and reciprocal model. I always get this muddled up. Okay, reciprocal. Thank you, Helen. Oh, nice to see you. So it encourages mutual learning, and normally what happens is, in that kind of model, you take on a supervision role. There may be somebody, you take it in turns to go into different positions. So you may say, 1 week I'll do this, or 1 week I do that. It really, really depends on you. You've got the mentoring model, which is done by Toll, and I can easily share the link so you can have a look at it. So this is more about mentoring. So you have a sort of a more of a guiding role used in coaching. So one person sort of is much more of a mentoring role. And then what I think, because we're all reflective practitioners, you can use Gibbs as a model to reflect. So you can talk about feelings, emotional responses to a situation. You can then evaluate what not worked well, what did not. You can identify underlying reasons or patterns. You can come to a firm conclusion. You could summarize your key learning points, and you can agree on steps for improvement. So you can then have some sort of action plan. So that's a specific idea you can try. So these are just some models. Obviously, how you develop it is up to you. So you can do what we call reflective practice groups. So you can use, again, Gibbs or Sean, reflect in action, reflect on action, to emphasize your shared experiences. You don't need to have 2 people. You could have a small group of you. So if you get together a few group of people and network. Currently, the CDI in Career Matters, you may notice that there's like some people are sending in problems to be solved. That's like an action learning set. So sometimes what happens is you bring a specific problem that you feel you need to overcome, and then you create this, what they call an action learning set, and you structure your session based on that. And finally, this is lean in circles. Now, I've only ever seen this. So I've used to work in prisons. So we used to have what we call peer mentoring circles, and there'd always be a mentor, and then you'd have a group of prisoners, and they called them lean in circles. So it kind of like blends mentoring and supervision for guidance and support amongst everybody, but it's a larger group. I've also seen a lot of this happen in the community. You may have heard of Andy's Man Club and very different organisations around wellbeing. They're called peer mentoring circles. So everybody's got equal, there may be one person there that's sort of more of a mentor, and then the rest are all equal. So that's called lean-in circles. Anyone got any questions before I move on? Okay, thank you. Okay, right. So, okay. These are some sort of really practical tips that I've come forward with, So one of the things that I do with one of my colleagues with EDT, we used to rotate a role. So one of us would talk, and then the other one would listen, and then we'd role reverse after a certain amount of time, and we'd have shared responsibility within. So not one of us would be the supervisor, we'd both have those shared roles. Now, creating an atmosphere of trust and openness to ensure safety, whether you devise a contract, whether you set certain rules for your talk, whether you say, in confidence, however you do that is entirely down to you. You have to find somebody you trust to talk to. I found somebody, for myself to talk to. So it wasn't an easy process. And we had this sort of mutual respect for each other, and that enabled us to do the supervision. We used to do it in the car predominantly, when that was the only time we had. We used to sit in the car and talk. We use structured formats, so I was developing a model with EDT where we'd have like quarterly check-ins and discussions, so round about half terms. We'd have and we'd also use bookings, so you can book in, but that was with a company. So that's so much more a structured way of doing it. You can completely do it unstructured. You can also have somebody to monitor group dynamics and encourage participation from all members. Anyone got any questions? I'll check the chat. You can write in the chat. I do have access to it if that's useful. Okay, I'll move on. Conscious of the time at the end of the day. If you're going to do a small group, then you would typically have 4 to 6 people. Now, I know that is incredibly difficult for those that is self-employed, I belong to a network that I discovered when I went to a conference last year in Exeter that I found really, really useful. And that's like but that's a lot more people. I'm trying to find the name. Once I finish presenting, I'll go on my phone and I'll find the name for you guys, because there might be something similar in your area. Decide on when you want to meet. Whether you do monthly or bi-weekly to maintain regular peer support. Establish your own ground rules, whether you're going to use a model, whether you're going to use a reflective theory. Assign roles. It's entirely up to you how you do it. You can make this as formal or as informal as you want. Okay, so these are the common challenges and some potential solutions. So when you deal with groups, it can be very, very inconsistent, and there can be low engagement or unclear objectives. So if you're going to set up yourself a group, then set goals and commitments from the start and make sure everyone commits to it. Encourage honest dialogue and regular feedback. Helps identify and solve any problems within groups. So the CDI actually have training on supervision. So you can do training on supervision if that's something you want to do. I think it's a modal you can do with the CDI, which is really useful. If you're going to do it one-to-one and a fellow peer, then it's doing the same, setting up ground rules, finding somebody you trust. If you on LinkedIn, you can look out, see who's in your community of practice, if anyone you can network with who's happy to talk on an informal basis, whether it's every once or twice a year. However, because we don't have supervision anymore as a matter of course, I suppose it's up to us now as practitioners to try and look after ourselves. And if this is the way we can do it, then it's definitely worth a try. That's what I think, in my opinion. Right, okay. So again, I'm going to stop sharing. And I'm going to ask you to just have 5 minutes talking about specific challenge within your own environment to set up a peer supervision model in your own setting, and then a solution, a potential solution. And I shall just go to breakout rooms again, open all rooms. So it's now 22. So if you have 5 minutes, then I'll pull you back in about 5 minutes. Oh. And see, Nikki, I can assign you to a group so you can network. Assign to.
It's so interesting, Penny. I'm finding it really fascinating. I did check my email and I can't actually see the I would love to get a copy of your slides if that was okay. Could maybe do a feature with you about it at some point. I can't see your you've got your there we are.
Yeah, sorry, it's just the Zoom platform. I haven't used it in such a long time, and it's just being familiar with this platform.
New. Do you know what? I think you've done incredibly well, because it's like you're juggling the tech stuff and all of the kind of admin stuff at the same time as you're doing the kind of presenting stuff. So yeah, no, it's to be honest, everyone's the same. It doesn't matter how many times you use it, unless you're kind of doing it like about twice a week, you always forget.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely not used to using a system, but I will, it's just something, it's all CPD, isn't it? It's all learning.
It literally is. And it's very kind of like it's very nice that Lady Nikki was able to share about being made redundant, because it's quite kind of a major, it's quite a vulnerable thing to share, isn't it? Someone who
yeah.
And
in fact, if we can help, if I can help, if I know of any vacancies on LinkedIn, I can help.
Yeah, well, we've got our jobs board, and also that's the kind of thing that you could discuss in peer-to-peer revision, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'll give him another minute and then I'll close the rooms.
Okie dokie.
Because I'm conscious that we're due to finish at 5, so
yeah, that's
close
right.
the rooms. And it's late. And everyone's probably been working all day and very tired.
I think it was actually due to finish at 4:45. It's a 45-minute one, but to be, it can be, it's flexible, so it's not a problem really.
Right, okay. Okay, so everybody's coming back. Let's close the breakout rooms. Let's share my screen. Hopefully everybody's coming back. Okay, so is everybody back? Okay, so again, as before, if anyone would like to share their discussion or like to put something in the chat, just let me know what kind of challenges and solutions you came up with.
I think for us, we were thinking about the difference between peer observation and support and peer supervision. Because I know for myself, when I hear supervision, I used to work alongside a couple of counsellors, and they had supervision, obviously, because they went and talked to another counsellor about the caseload that they were dealing with. So that's kind of where I am in my head when I think supervision, whereas a couple of others within that group were more thinking along lines of like observation and support rather than the counselling supervision. So I think it's
I agree
where
with
that
Stephanie.
challenge, yeah.
Okay. No, I always see observation as a part of professional practice, being observed once a year or however many times I have to be observed as a careers advisor. I see supervision as much more of a restorative function rather than about talking about individual cases. We're not, like I say, we're not counsellors and we don't have access to counselling, but we do have access to each other, and we're each other our own experts. So sometimes you can sit down with each other and talk about a specific case or something that's happened and find it really restorative, just talking to somebody about it. But it has to be done in a mutual respected way. It's got to be done where you feel comfortable. Not everybody feels comfortable. But no, thank you, Stephanie. That was really good. Anyone else like to add anything? Anyone? See if there's anything in the chat. No, nothing in the chat. Okay, so I think the biggest challenge, if I was going to say, to be totally honest, I work remotely from home, so I work in isolation some of the days, and then the days that I'm in school, I'm on my own again I've got the careers leader, but she's always busy, so it's very, very difficult sometimes to find a practical solution. If you're not getting supervision with your company, or you're self-employed and you're not getting supervision or peer supervision or any kind of mentoring, like I say, you have to go outside of yourself and really think outside the box. So I said at the beginning, well, midway through, I belong to something called the Careers Network. I don't know if any of you have heard of it. So I joined last year and I found it really useful. We have different groups and that's all done through WhatsApp. So I find that really good. And also I keep in contact with some of my colleagues that I work with EDT, and we have like an understanding that we can network with each other or talk to each other when we need to. So that's how I get around some of the practical problems of not having supervision outside of management. So that's the only supervision I've ever had in my career. It's been with a manager, and it's been very KPI focused. So, okay, moving on to the next slide, if I can get my button to work. Okay, so that's moving over. So these are some of the resources that I've pulled together. So you'll find on the CDI website, they'll have an awful lot about supervision. They've even got a lot of information around supervision, so you can have a look. I can really recommend the peer supervision and coaching and mentoring. I read it a long time ago, but it is quite a good book. It's quite a good guide. If you're more interested in actual supervision itself, Peter Hawkins and Aileen Mahoon are kind of like, I would say, the experts on supervision, one of the experts. They have a really good book. And this book, I swear by, it got me through, especially if some of you are do like the research or need ideas for CPD, working in self-employed, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, I need to do my 25 hours. CPD for the Career Development Professional by Siobhan Neary and Claire Johnson. Absolutely great. And the reflective practice chapter is really useful in keeping a refresher on some of the different theory. So I find that a really good book. But obviously, go wherever you need to go. So I hope, bearing in mind all the different problems I have with Zoom, that you'll take away from this that this is something you need to process and explore yourself, and think about whether this is something that you'll want to develop in your own professional practice. Please link up with me on LinkedIn. You'll find me under Penny McCartney. Please, if you've got any questions, I'm happy to share my email address out, and you can email me at work, and I'm more than happy to talk about this further. As a part of my job role, I do informal peer supervision for my learners. When we talk about, I offer that service, so I do that. So please just get in contact with me if it's something you want to find out more information, or how do I implement, what do I do, how do I approach my manager. Just touching base, just message me on LinkedIn. Anybody got any questions at all? Any questions? I'm going to stop sharing before we close the meeting. Helen.
I haven't got anything to. Sorry, I put something in the chat.
No, just your name popped up on my screen, so I just thought
right.
maybe you had a question.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't have a question, but I've put in the chat that I did have a particularly harrowing appointment where the client had gone through conversion therapy, and
oh my God.
it was quite harrowing. But the fact that I actually managed to talk to somebody afterwards about that actually gave me time to reflect, and them to reflect with me. And actually, that client went away really happy. But it was, as I said, I needed to talk to someone about it afterwards, because it was a challenging appointment. So I really benefited from having someone I could talk to. I think it's really important.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Thank you. Yeah, that's really important. Hannah? Oh, you're on
mute.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I was late to join the session. I do apologise. I held up with a client. Hello, Penny. Nice to see you. And somebody thinks it's dinner time. I apologise.
No, mine need feeding too.
Just to say very quickly that the CDI, I organise supervision sessions which are free with the CDI, peer-to-peer sessions, which we've been running for a number of months now. Which is if people, and I'm a huge advocate of supervision, and as a member of the Ethics and Professional Standards Committee, it's something I've been championing for years. So it's nice to hear it being spoken about. But yes, if you're interested in joining in with the peer-to-peer supervisions, please contact me on LinkedIn, and I'll make sure that you receive invitations to the next one.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Hannah. I see. I didn't know that, so that's so useful.
I became aware of the fact that you didn't know it when I read your article in Careers Matters.
Yeah. So, because I've been doing sort of my own little bit of peer supervision with EDT and with my own learners, so I've been like, trying. It's about raising the profile, because I genuinely think, like Helen's just mentioned, sometimes we can work with some really challenging clients. Absolutely. And having that space to talk about things.
So important. Yeah, so there is a CDI peer-to-peer supervision group.
Brilliant. That's great. So, great. So, anyone got any more to add before I close the meeting? No, anyone? I'm just checking through. So, I just want to thank you all for attending. I really appreciate you dealing with my or my drama with the with the Zoom. But thank you so much. I mean, let's continue this conversation around peer supervision and mentoring, because we're here to support each other. We're each other's champions, and by attending today, you're a part of that process. So thank you so much, and hopefully you'll contact either myself or Hannah, and find out a little bit more about how we can spread the word of supervision. Thank you so much.
Thank
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Penny. That was really insightful and generous. Thank you so much.
Okay.
The broadcast will be ready and it will be available shortly. And thank you to everybody who's listened. There's lots of thanks in the chat, Penny, as well. I just wanted to make sure you can see that. So I'm going to end this now, and thank you to everyone for attending, and big thank you, Penny.
Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you all. Okay, take care. Have a good evening.
Goodbye.
Okay, bye.